It's a movement like they haven't seen before. I must tell you that just before I got off the plane, a bomb went off in New York, and nobody knows exactly what's going on. But boy, we are living in a time. We better get very tough, folks. We better get very, very tough.
Just
so we'll find out that it's a terrible thing that's going on in our world and in our country. And we are going to get tough and smart and vigilant. And we're going to end it. We're going to end it. We'll see what it is. We'll see what it is. In any event, I am so thrilled to be in Colorado, a special place.
Special.
Really special place. A new poll from Emerson just came out, and we're up 4 points in Colorado. We haven't done any of that advertising yet. That's you know, in the old days, if you could be up and have a smaller crew and spend no money, you were considered a genius. Today, if you don't spend a lot of money and don't have a big crew, they say, oh, he's not spending a lot of money. But we're going to spend a lot of money in Colorado because we're going to take Colorado. We don't want to take any chances, right? We don't want to take any chances. So, Reuters has just projected a win for us in Florida. We're going to win in Florida.
And we're up in Ohio. And we're up in Iowa. We're up 8 points in Iowa. We're up 4 or 5 points in Ohio. And amazing people. You look at what's going on with our manufacturing being sucked out of our country. We're not going to be having that happen long, folks. It's not going to happen long, believe me. We're up in North Carolina. We're up in many, many polls nationwide. The Los Angeles Times has us up 6 points nationwide, so we're good. We're good. In other words, I think we're going to win, is what I'm saying. Right? You know, they call this a movement. And all over, they're talking about it as a movement. Bill O'Reilly said one of the great phenomena he's ever seen. Actually said it's the greatest political phenomena he's seen in his lifetime. But I'll tell you something. It doesn't mean anything if we don't win. We got to win. We got to win. It's going to be a victory for the people. It's going to be a victory for you all the way in that corner over there. Boy, we have a lot of people here. This is a big hangar, and it's full. Big hangar. And I appreciate it. Starting in 2017, anything we dream of for our country will be achieved. It's going to be achieved. It's time to start thinking of dreaming big. We don't dream big anymore in this country. Bigger than all of those petty politicians that don't have a clue, believe me. Our plan begins with economic prosperity. My economic agenda can be summed up in 3 very beautiful words. You know what they are? Jobs, jobs, jobs. We're going to have a massive tax reduction, big league tax reduction for working and middle-class families. We're going to reduce, and this is so important, reduce job-killing regulations and raise your incomes way up high. We're going to keep our good jobs. We have bad jobs. We are going to get our good jobs back. They've been sucked away. We're going to renegotiate our disastrous trade deals. Now, that doesn't mean, you know, these press, they are so dishonest. I'm all for trade, but we want good deals. We don't want bad deals. When I say I'm going to renegotiate, they say Trump's anti-trade. I'm totally for trade. But we're going to have great deals for our country. We're going to have job-producing deals, not job-sucking deals. We're just getting sucked out of our country. We're going to repeal and replace Obamacare. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening. Look at the numbers. Look at what's happening with your premiums. They're going through the roof, up 20, 30, 40, 50%. Your deductibles are so high, you'll never get to use them unless you really I don't even like to say it. It's going to be a long, slow, tragic death. And then maybe you'll get to use a little tiny piece, but that's going to be the last thing you're worried about. We're going to appoint Supreme Court justices who will uphold the Constitution of the United States. So important. We're going to work with law enforcement, our police, to stop the surge of violent crime. We're going to revitalize our crumbling infrastructure. We're going to provide school choice to every disadvantaged child in America, of which we have many. And we're going, by the way, to end Common Core. We're bringing our education local. We're going to end illegal immigration, and yes, we will build a wall. We're going to build the wall. And you know what? They don't know it yet, but they're starting to get the idea. And they're great people, and they have very good leaders, much smarter than our leaders, believe me. But Mexico will be paying for that wall, okay? They will be paying for that. We know that. We're going to keep the terrorists out of our country and apply new screening standards, 100%. To admit people that love our country and want to love our country, and people that want to love our people. We're going to defeat ISIS and radical Islamic terrorism. We're going to rebuild our badly depleted military, the greatest people on earth. But we gotta build, we have to rebuild our military. It's depleted. Our fighters are 18 years old in some cases. They go out to replace parts. They go to the airplane graveyards to get parts because they don't make them anymore. They go to museums to take parts off planes. These are fighter jets that we have right now. You've seen it. It is terrible. This is not the United States of America, folks. And we're going to remember those three very famous words: peace through strength. That's what we're going to have. And hopefully we won't have to use our strength so much, but we need it, maybe more than ever before. In all things, it's going to be America first. America first. You don't hear that anymore. You don't hear that anymore. You go out and you see these trade deals and it looks like we're doing the deals for other countries. Correct. 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 That is so correct. In this mission, we are going to campaign in every community in our country. This is our chance to replace a failed, corrupt, and dishonest political establishment with a new government that answers to the citizens, not to the special interests. We can't keep listening to the same people who created all of these problems in the first place. By the way, Hillary Clinton, we're not going to listen, and we're not going to take it anymore. We're going to do what we know we have to do. That's why I'm proud. And by the way, when you say that, let's just win on November 8th, okay? It's so simple. Get out, vote, bring everybody. If you're feeling horrible, just horrible, if you're sick, you're really sick, you can't get out of bed, I don't give a, you know what, I don't even use that word anymore. Because if I use that word, they'll say, he used foul language. It is terrible. So I won't even use that word. That starts with a D, right? You know, not so bad. I don't even like using the H word, you know, the place that's down there. Because if I use that word, they'll say, he used foul language. See, I've learned. It's been a process. I've learned. But that's why I'm so proud to have the endorsement of the people who actually on the ground, they're on the ground, they know what needs to be done, not the insiders from Washington, D.C. They know what has to be done too, but they'll never do it because they're working for themselves. I see a mosquito. Right now, I don't like mosquitoes too much. Get out of here, you mosquito. I never minded mosquitoes. Now I'm not loving them, I must be honest. This week, I was honored to get the endorsement of 17 recipients of the Medal of Honor. And many, many of our incredible military leaders. We now have the endorsement of more than 160 top generals and admirals. That's a lot. We also have the support and endorsement of 16,500 Border Patrol agents. First time they've ever endorsed a presidential candidate. Earlier today, I had a chance to spend some time with the victims of illegal immigrant violence, and this is violence. These are great people of all races and all backgrounds. They're all united by one common fact. Their government failed them in its most basic duty. They just, and I have to tell you, it was so sad, and maybe some of you saw it today, it was on television, but we received the endorsement of the nation's largest police fraternal order. It's called the Fraternal Order of Police. And we talked about it this morning. If you would see these people who lost their daughters, their sons, their husbands, their wives, to the most violent people, you would say that when I first came out and I started talking about trade deals and I started talking about energy, but I started talking about illegal immigration, you would say, boy, oh boy, was he right about that. And we're going to stop the crime. We're going to stop the drugs from pouring across our border and poisoning our youth. And you have the same problem right here. We're going to stop that problem. Not only our youth, by the way, many, many people are being poisoned by what's pouring across that border. So we're going to stop it, and we're going to stop it cold. Last night in Fort Worth, Texas, a newly commissioned officer in training and his field officer were shot while responding to a possible suicide. Also last night in Philadelphia, a 19-year police veteran was shot 8 times. The police commissioner said it was a miracle that she wasn't killed. She. Also, another officer who formerly served for 33 years in the Philadelphia Police Department was shot numerous times. Our prayers are with all of the victims. We must stand with our police. We must. And I'm so greatly honored to have the support of our local law enforcement and all law enforcement. We have such incredible law enforcement support. Our men and women in military uniform, unbelievable support, and the support of firefighters, paramedics, and so many other public servants. We have got support. I'll tell you what, folks, I'm looking and I'm seeing every place we go, we have crowds like this, every place. We just left. We were in Texas, we were in Oklahoma. Every place we go, we're having crowds like this. There's something special going on. We're going to take back the White House. We're going to take back our country. Is there any place that's more fun to be? And look at this. I mean, how beautiful is this? Than a Trump rally. No place safer. And there's no place safer, that I can tell you. A lot of love. There's a lot of love. I just want to tell you this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. It's November 8th. If we win, not me, we win. I'm the messenger. I'm doing a good job as a messenger, but we all know what has to be done. And we are going to do something special, and I promise you this. I will never, ever let you down. You're not going to be let down. Not going to be let down. Our support comes from all regions, all backgrounds, and all walks of life. You're the bricklayers and the home builders and the doctors and the dentists and the carpenters and the welders. Young and old, rich and poor, black, white, Hispanic. But above all else, we're Americans, and that's the support. We're Americans. Heard this word, and while my opponent, Hillary Clinton, how many years have we been saying this name? You know, I keep hearing that she wants to do this, she wants to do that. Where has she been for 35 years? She's been doing this. Where has she been? My opponent slanders you as deplorable. And a word that hasn't been picked up to the same extent, irredeemable. That means you can't be made better or whatever. That means you're always going to be deplorable, right? I don't think so. I don't think so. I call you hardworking American patriots who love your family and love your country, and you want to see it be better. Hillary Clinton's comments, and they were angry comments. Did you see her making this? I was watching. I was starting to fall asleep watching, because it's hard to stay awake, let's face it. So I was starting to doze off, and then I heard the word deplorable. I said, whoa! And irredeemable, think of it. But her comments displayed the same sense of arrogance and entitlement that led her to violate federal law's Secretary of State, hide and delete 33,000 emails. Think of it, 33,000. But it really had to do with yoga and the wedding. Yoga. So what do? We give yoga 5 and the wedding 3, right? Where are the rest of them? Destroy her phones. And think of this, with a hammer, boom, 13 of them. Put classified information in the reach of our enemies, lie to Congress, and sell government favors and access. Just sells government favors and access. It's the same attitude of arrogance and entitlement that explains why she has never taken accountability for the disaster she created in the Middle East. What you're seeing is largely a creation of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Before she came into office, Libya was stable, Syria was under control, right? You just said it. Iraq was seeing a reduction in violence, and Iran was being totally choked off by sanctions. They were not going to make it. The group today, and you see it, today, we call ISIS. This is the group that was formed. We call ISIS, and it was close to being extinguished. Now, after Hillary, here's what we have. Libya, Syria, and Iraq are in total chaos. Iran is on the path to nuclear weapons and is becoming not a local power, but a world power. So fast how fast this is taken. They were dying 2 years ago. Look what's happened. And remember, the $400 million in cash? Well, that turned out to be wrong. I'm sorry. It turned out to be $1.7 billion in cash. Now, can you imagine the scene of $1.7 billion in cash, different denominations? I mean, the whole thing is so... It wasn't $400 million, it was $1.7 billion. Who does this? Where are these people coming from? And now, you look at Iran, and they're emboldened. They want to shoot down our airplanes. You see with the little boats going around our ships? You see that? And taunting, they're taunting. They feel emboldened after all of this. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. It's going to be so different, folks, I promise. Can you imagine the captain on the destroyer as they keep circling with these little boats? He wants to shoot them out of the water so bad. He was standing there like this, just looking, saying, what is going on? Where have we come and gone? ISIS is spreading everywhere and launching attacks against the West. Her judgment on the economy is no better. Hillary's donors and advisors are the same people who gave us NAFTA, the worst trade deal in the history, not of our country, in the history of our world. There has never been a trade deal as bad as NAFTA anywhere in the world. You look at upstate New York, you look at New England, you look at Colorado, you look at the manufacturing that's been ripped out of Ohio and Pennsylvania and everywhere. And it's gone to Mexico and other places. And I tell this story because I have a friend, better than a consultant. It costs me nothing. He is a great guy. He builds plants. And I said to him, how are you doing? He said, I'm doing unbelievably. We're building the greatest plants in the world. Where? He said, Mexico. What about our country? Not so much. Okay? It's going to change, folks. It's going to go the opposite. Believe me. They allowed China the entry into the World Trade Organization. You see where that got us. And now she wants to approve Trans-Pacific Partnership. This will be, she called it the gold standard. This will be a disaster. Her policies have produced suffering everywhere, but especially in our inner cities. 45% of African Americans under the age 6 are living in poverty. 58% of African American youth are not employed. More than 3,000 people have been shot in the city of Chicago since January 1st. Can you imagine? By the way, that's worse than Afghanistan. That's worse than these war-torn countries. It's more dangerous. The jobs are gone. The schools are failing. The communities are totally unsafe. And to the African Americans living in those communities, I say, vote for Donald Trump. What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? I will fix it. I will fix it. I'll bring back your jobs and your security, and I'll fight for you harder than anyone has ever fought before. These cities have been run by the policies of Hillary Clinton and her friends. And I'm telling you, they're only getting worse. They're getting worse every time. She wants your vote, and then she said, see you like in 4 years. But hopefully we're not going to be worried about that. It is really sad. It is really sad what's happened to our inner cities. They want your vote. And by the way, the Democrats have run them for 50, 60, 70, even 100 years uninterrupted. 100 years. And look what you have. I will fix it. Remember that. I will fix it. What do you have to lose? Somebody said, oh, that's not a nice thing. What do you have to lose? How can you be any more accurate than that? What do you have to lose? Everywhere she goes, scandal and failure follow. Just look at what she did in upstate New York. She promised 200,000 jobs, and they ended up losing jobs. Remember, she was running for the Senate. It was a total disaster. She said, we're going to bring jobs back. It was a total, she didn't bring anything, we lost jobs. The only people she delivers for are her donors. I'm going to deliver for the American people, I promise you that. And I'm spending my money on this race, folks. I'm spending my money. I've got a lot of time, energy, and my money invested. That's for sure. So that includes lifting the restrictions. We have to do this on American energy. There's $50 trillion of untapped energy reserves in our country, and we're going to unlock that vast potential. That's going to be an amazing unlocking, too, believe me. This one action alone will raise the quality of life for tens of millions of Americans. We'll be a rich country again. We'll start paying off our debt. We'll lower your taxes. It's going to be a very beautiful thing to watch. We're also going to completely reform our trade deals. Ford Motor Company, just announced they're moving all of their small car division. They're moving, where are they moving? They're moving to Mexico. This won't happen if I'm elected president, believe me. People are not going to be stealing our companies, and we're not going to be losing our jobs. And if somebody like Ford or Carrier or all of these thousands of companies that are moving, if they think they're going to move, fire all of their employees so we get unemployment and we get no tax, they're going to make product in brand new plants in another country, sell it into our country against, and remember this, it'll now be crossing a very, very strong border, okay? Very strong. We're going to charge them a 35% tax on their product, and you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, we're not moving, because if we have to do that, it no longer makes sense to move. And the politicians could have done it. They could have done it. They don't want to do it because they're controlled by special interests, folks. It's very simple. Meanwhile, if we just stop China from stealing our intellectual property alone, we'd save 2 million jobs a year. We don't even talk to China about it. Right now, our trade deficit in goods all over the world is nearly $800 billion a year. Think of it. Who makes these deals? Who makes these deals? We have a trade deficit of $800 billion a year. And then they say, I'm against trade. Well, I'm against deals like that, I can tell you. You're better off without them. This subtracts from our GDP. Our economy grew only 1.1% in the last quarter, and that's a catastrophe. If China goes down to 7 or 8%, it's like a national emergency. We have 1.1%. It's pathetic. This is the weakest so-called recovery since the Great Depression. Another 14 million people have left the workforce, and entirely, it all came in entirely since President Obama came into office. Another major reform is going to be school choice. I've outlined a plan to provide every disadvantaged child in America to choose the private, public, magnet, or religious school of his or her choice. For those of you that believe in education like I do. This will help lift millions of African American and Hispanic children out of poverty. Since President Obama came into office, another 2 million Hispanic Americans have fallen into poverty. This is unacceptable. To the Hispanic community, I say, we are going to protect your jobs, we are going to build up your schools, and we are going to deliver safety and opportunity to your children, and you deserve it. Earlier this week, along with my daughter Ivanka, I also wrote... She's got a great heart, that I will tell you. I also rolled out a plan to help our mothers and our families get affordable child care. A married couple earning $50,000 per year with 2 children and $8,000 in child care expenses will save 35% from their current tax bill. A married couple earning $75,000 per year with 2 children and $10,000 in child care expense will receive a 30% reduction in your tax bill. Millions of low-income people will be removed from the tax rolls entirely. A Trump administration will deliver every American 3 things: a great economy, a safe country, and an honest government free of corruption. We're going to get rid of it. I'm going to reduce taxes bigly. We are going to reduce taxes. And by the way, Hillary Clinton is going to raise your taxes very, very substantially. We're going to reduce taxes, eliminate horrible regulations, unleash American energy, appoint the great judges, save the Second Amendment, reduce crime, create school choice, end illegal immigration, and renegotiate our terrible trade deals to put Americans back to work and to put Americans first. We will rebuild our roads, our bridges, our tunnels, our highways, airports, schools, and hospitals. American cars will travel the roads. American planes will soar the skies, and American ships will patrol the seas. American steel will send new skyscrapers into the clouds. That includes Denver. They have some very nice skyscrapers. American hands will rebuild this nation, and American energy, mined from American sources, will power this nation. American workers will be hired to do the job. We will put new American steel into the spine of our country. I will fight for every neglected part of this nation, and I will fight to bring us all together, united in common purpose and common dreams. Imagine what our country could accomplish if we started working together as one people, under one God, saluting one American flag. It's time to break with the bitter failures of the past. It's time to we have to break. We have to break with those failures. We have so many failures. You know, think of it. We don't win anymore, folks. Where do we win? We don't win. We don't win with crime. We don't win with schools. We don't win with trade. Our military's depleted. Our vets aren't being treated properly, and we are going to treat our vets properly. We lose with health care. We don't win anymore. We don't win. Our military can't beat ISIS. Can you imagine the great General Douglas MacArthur or the great General George Patton saying, we can't beat ISIS? Patton would rip your heart out if you ever said that. We can't beat, right? Can you imagine that, though? Can you imagine what they're spinning right now? They're watching. They're spinning in their grave. And so often they'll ask me, how do you defeat ISIS? I said, you know what? I have a real chance of winning. I don't want to tell the enemy how I am thinking. Does that make sense? Can you imagine General Douglas MacArthur saying at a news conference, well, that's a very good question, Jim. We're going to hit him from the front on October 7th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we're going to attack them from the back if we do well from the front. But by that time, the front is so well fortified, we may not do as well. Now, can you imagine these people? I will give you good results. Don't worry how I get there, okay? Please. We had a clown today, an absolute clown, Robert Gates. He's supposed to be an expert. He's been there forever. By the way, he writes a book. He says bad about everybody that he's worked for. He's been there for a long time. Everybody that he's worked for, he's a nasty guy. Probably has a problem that we don't know about, but he's a nasty guy. And he spoke badly about Bush. He spoke badly about Obama. Speaks badly about everything. Never met the guy. Never saw him. I saw him on television. Didn't like him. The end result is, look where we are. He's a mess, okay? He's a mess. So he goes out and he says negative things about me. I never met him. I never talked to him. Believe me, I am so much better at what he's doing than he is. You won't even believe it. Look what he gave us. Look at the mess of all of these people that have been there for so many years. Look what we have. Look at the Middle East. If we never touched them, we would have been a hell of a lot better off than we are right now. What a shame. All of the money, but most importantly, the blood, the death. And what do we have now? We're in worse shape than we were 15 years ago by a factor of 10. And we've spent $6 trillion. $6 trillion. That seems to be the new number. $6 trillion. Much more importantly, the lives that we've lost. Because we're dealing with incompetent people, we're dealing with stupid people, we're dealing with people like Robert Gates that don't have a clue, and then when they leave office, they criticize everybody. I don't like critics. I don't like critics. I like the people that get it done and get it done right. We need to embrace a new, inclusive, and prosperous future. We can do that. Jobs will return, incomes will rise, and new factories will come rushing back to our shores. That's what we have to have. Once more, we will have a government of, by, and for the people. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you. I love you. Thank you, Colorado. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you, Colorado. November 8th.